This is the CitizenLink report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? $500 buys an hour of studio time. And we usually don't use a whole hour, but it covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. That means your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Just click on Donate. Thanks from all of us. The federal government is forcing Christian-owned businesses to either betray their faith or pay multi-million-dollar fines. This is the CitizenLink report. I'm Stuart Shepard along with Bruce Hausknecht, who follows issues in the courts for us here at CitizenLink. Hi, Bruce.
Hi, Stuart.
This is all about what we've come to refer to in shorthand as the HHS mandate. I want to give you a second to explain what that is for folks who may not have picked up on this yet.
Sure. To recap, the HHS mandate is a requirement inserted into the Affordable Care Act of 2010, also known as Obamacare, that employers who furnish health plans for their employees must include certain services. The HHS mandate specifically includes possible abortifacients, abortion-causing drugs, contraceptives, sterilizations, instructions about how to get abortions, the very things that are objectionable to people of faith.
And the government's getting massive pushback both from Catholic-owned organizations and Catholic-operated organizations, as well as Protestant-run Christian families that run companies like Hobby Lobby. There's a Mennonite-owned company up in the Northeast called Conestoga Wood Specialties. They make kitchen cabinets. These are not organizations that are used to being in the middle of public policy fights.
I know. We have 43 lawsuits at last count with over 100 plaintiffs involved, some religious nonprofits, some for-profit companies owned by people of faith. So it's all across the board, huge objections to this mandate.
Now, we just hit some deadlines. As these things go, and we've been saying this for quite a while, Obamacare, all the stuff that was highly appealing was released right away. Oh, your children are covered up to 26. Well, nobody's going to argue that that's not a good thing. And also that there are no pre-existing conditions. That's been rolled out because they knew that would be very appealing. But starting this year, all the parts that people are not going to like so much are starting to roll out. And January 1st was one of those deadlines, and that was for this mandate we're talking about.
Right. The for-profit companies who weren't allowed an extra year, as some of the religious organizations have been under Obamacare, were forced by January 1, which is usually the start of a health plan year for most companies, to begin including these contraceptive things in their health plans. So they either had to provide those things beginning January 1 or start incurring fines and penalties under Obamacare.
And the fines are huge.
Yes, the fines are huge because they're dependent on how many employees you have. So Hobby Lobby, for example, has 500 stores nationwide, 13,000 employees, and they're looking at huge $1.3 million per day fine for refusing to comply with the HHS mandate.
I just want people to let that sink in for a second. $1.3 million a day if they don't follow this mandate that says you must offer drugs that can end human life. This runs straight into the pro-life issue head on, and they're putting literally a weight of an annual fine of well over $450 million.
That's right. This is the full weight of government coming down on businesses owned by people of faith and requiring them to violate their own conscience at the pain of losing their business.
Now, Hobby Lobby in particular, their management has looked at this. They asked the courts to, while this was going through the courts, to give them an exemption from this requirement, and the court said no. They took it all the way up to Justice Sonia Sotomayor, an Obama appointee, because when you're asking for this special kind of injunction, as it's called, you go to one of the justices to find out, and she said no.
Right. Yeah, Hobby Lobby has been hardest hit of all of these. There are probably 14 secular for-profit companies that are included in all of these 43 lawsuits. And only 3 of them, Hobby Lobby is one of those companies, has been denied all the way up to the Supreme Court, this temporary relief as these lawsuits go forward.
Okay, you're talking about this a bit. Let's draw it out just a bit. As we look across the 40-plus lawsuits that are out there, what's the scorecard so far? How's it going?
Well, for the for-profits, which are starting to incur penalties right now, it's been, I would say, a success overall because we have 10 courts that have granted preliminary injunctions or temporary restraining orders, which are just orders saying, look, these fines will not start. These penalties cannot be enforced until the lawsuit is over with and all of these legal issues are done. But 3 companies, Hobby Lobby included, have been refused that relief just because they're in a different court. You have a different judge.
Yeah.
You can get a different result.
And Hobby Lobby has said, we're going to defy the government and not offer these drugs in our health care plan.
Yes, they have drawn the line in the sand, and they're taking that stance for religious liberty that we feared would come one day, but we hoped it wouldn't.
Now, their owner and the guy who watches over the country put out a letter last fall basically laying out the course of this. Either they comply with the mandate, which means that they're betraying their belief that life is sacred and comes from God, even preborn life, or they defy the government and risk this huge fine, in which case they'll be bankrupted.
Yes, and it's so unnecessary. The government, if it had such a big, compelling interest in furnishing contraceptives to everyone free of charge, they could have done it any other way than forcing employers who might object to it to do so. But they chose to take that route, and now we have a first-class religious freedom collision.
All right. Now, there's another event that happened just this past Saturday. So folks got together in social media and said, we should show Hobby Lobby a little love. We should give them a little support. Tell us what happened.
Right. It kind of sprang up from Facebook. Some guy organized a Hobby Lobby Appreciation Day. 60,000 plus people signed up to say we're either going to go to the store or shop online. And we saw news reports, even right here in Colorado Springs, of people showing up, and even with signs in support of Hobby Lobby. It was a good turnout.
Now, I've been seeing some negative criticism in social media of some of these companies saying, well, they should just fall in line and I'm not going to give them my business anymore. And it's all about the decisions the companies are making, which I think ignores a very obvious point, and that is the government is forcing these decisions to be made.
That's right. We have hit a crossroads with regard to religious liberty in our lifetime. In these last several years, we've gone from religious freedom to freedom of worship, as it's been characterized, which seems to try to limit our faith down to the inside of our church. And we have never been here before, and it's a dangerous place to be.
All right. What's ahead? How long will this whole thing take to play out?
It's going rapidly through the courts. I would expect it will ultimately get to the Supreme Court or back to the Supreme Court on substantive issues, perhaps next year.
All right. Bruce, thank you for keeping track of this, and I'm sure we'll be talking more as 2013 rolls along.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. We always appreciate hearing from you. You may always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. We appreciate getting your questions, your comments, your criticisms. We're open to all of that. Remember to pray for the CEOs and the boards of these companies that are making tough decisions, going to court against the federal government because of their Christian beliefs, because of their pro-life beliefs. Pray that they'll be able to sleep at night and they'll be able to make a wise path and make wise decisions as they press ahead with this. And remember, you too, stand tall and be heard.